Hey everybody, it's Flawed Guy. How y'all doing? Time for another video. As I told you before, these things are kind of like not always, pre-planned out too much. Sometimes more than others. And sometimes I have a hard time, finding like divine inspiration, if you will, for what I want to talk about. And so sometimes I find myself. It feels like kind of like almost like winging the video, so to speak. And I partially am probably to blame about that. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a pastor. Many pastors maybe they could tell me they go through the same thing. People that try to lead uh, churches and God's people and things in different ways. Maybe they just don't quote unquote feel the inspiration, but nonetheless, um, I think just doing what you know to be right is part of what's doing right, if you will. Um, and sometimes it's just, I feel, asking God to sincerely let these videos help somebody. And in seeing my flaws and in admissions of humanity, the human side of things, the sinful side of things, or just the normal everyday ins and outs of being a human being created by God, I think people can relate to that. And so if you have those days where you just don't feel inspired or, you know, I don't know, it still doesn't mean that somehow this video, you know, doesn't have any effect on people. So I'm going to go with what, you know, I just thought about briefly today. Um, and I think I saw something about Trump, uh, the president, talking about how the tariffs and they've reaped all this the benefit, and our country is rich now, and supposedly people are due for some sort of check. But just something I've noticed, there are a lot of people who put their faith and trust in Donald Trump, just like there were those who put their faith in Barack Obama. Uh, and it's almost like sometimes some people can get to the point where it's almost like I don't know, I hate to say it, almost like a godlike reverence for a politician or something of that nature, where you just kind of have a blind faith in those people to basically do for you what you're not willing to do for yourself. In other words, you look to politicians or a president to save you from the ills of the world, uh, to make your life comfortable or to give you what you want. Um, and I just see that I see that a lot. There are people who just for the sake of following Republicans or just calling themselves we're just a Democrat or we're left and right. I think you know it's okay to do your research and to try to trust people. You want to trust your fellow man, but as we all know, I don't even trust myself sometimes. I know the frailties of my own nature enough to know that even when you're struggling to do the right thing and you're trying to be a good person and you're faithful, let's say going to church or trying to live out Christian values and live as Jesus would want us to live, we fail. And so knowing that, you know, I don't even trust myself. I relate to Peter when when he was with Jesus and he was like, I'll never deny you, Jesus. I'll never do these things. I'll go with you through thick and thin. And yet, lo and behold, uh, under the wrong circumstances or just a set of different circumstances, I'm sure Peter loved God and believed he loved God, and I think he and was sincere in all his um, verbal communications that he loved God and that he wouldn't, uh, you know, do anything against God. But yet he cursed and denied Jesus 3 times. And it just shows that as humans, even well meaning ones and well intentioned ones, even in our spirits, are willing to do God's work, but our flesh is weak and we live in a world of just screwed up crap and we fail. And if the people that are trying to do the right thing, even people of moral character who maybe not even follow, Jesus Christ per se, are trying to do the right things and behave themselves in a way to not be harmful to their fellow man, they fail. And so to put our faith and confidence in human beings, to me, to any real extent to protect us is just foolishness. So to just kind of back that up a little bit, if you would look up Psalms 27, I'll just read it. It's just a couple of verses tonight. Psalms 27 says, "Some trust in chariots and some in horses, but we will remember the name of the Lord our God. They are brought down and fallen, but we are risen and stand upright. Save, Lord, let the King hear us when we call." That verse years ago meant a lot to me. I remember it. I say it to myself quite often, and it's been something that's guided me throughout my life. Some trust in chariots and some in horses, and those things back in those days, in biblical days, were chariots were like the tank of their time, and horses, the battle horses, hardened for battle, rushing into battle against the spears and lances, and uh, people put their faith in those things. So translate that to modern day. People put their faith in our military. Nothing against our military, nothing against armed forces, nothing against people trying to protect our country and our land. But I think that sometimes we trust too much in technology. We trust too much in other men with spears, so to speak, to protect us. We trust in our battleships and our satellites and our technology to protect us. And we trust the politicians who have the power to command that technology to protect us. And I think that's just a foolish thing to do. And to back that up, I'd rather say this, that in Psalm 118, let's just go to that real quick. Um, there are good people who do the right thing. And let's say our president right now is trying to do the right thing by America. Let's hope and pray he really is. And only God knows the intentions, and they know the intentions of their own heart and the motives behind what they do. Politicians or military leaders or anybody in power and authority over us, even our pastors and our siblings and our spouses and stuff. We trust people to a certain extent, and we always get let down because they're humans too. They have their own frailties and their own problems, and so knowing that, we should also know that they're not perfect and they can let us down even if they're well intentioned. And again, there are those in power and authority who aren't good intentioned, so to speak. They have evil desires and motives behind what they do, and even openly lie about things that they're doing and trying to subvert people, all the while they're speaking flatteries and telling us great things with swelling words and great promises, and in their heart they're plotting the destruction of people and nations and things. So let's just go to Psalm 118:8, and let's see what that has to say. It kind of goes along with what I'm saying. It says, "It is better to trust in the Lord than to put confidence in man." And then the following verse, 118:9, it says, "It is better to trust in the Lord than to put confidence in princes." So I'll just say this from my own standpoint. Think of it this way. If you gave the politicians and the leaders and the military generals and the great people who serve in our military at all levels, and you put your faith in the technology that they have at their fingertips to defend us and our nation, our way of life, and that's all you put your trust in, you just have faith that they're going to make everything right. Um, then you hear that you have terminal cancer ravaging through your body. How much trust are you going to have in the politicians of the world, or Donald Trump, or the military, or even your doctor and the technology they have and possess to potentially cure you before you leave this world? How much trust are you going to have, like on that episode of The Twilight Zone where the fascist communist state was in control, and they told that poor old man he was obsolete and he was in his apartment waiting for his demise at the hand of the state. And he sat there with quiet confidence with his Bible in hand and was unafraid. And yet, one of the underlings of the regime in charge at the time, who was one of the people condemning that poor man in that episode, was cowering when the time was up where he thought a bomb was going to go off. And he was scratching at the door, pleading for his life to escape. And he had put his trust and confidence in his party, his government, his empire, or whatever you will, and was scared to death. Um, you know, the scaremongering about global warming, or the planet freezing to death or burning to death. Just pick one. There are people who are so scared because they put their confidence in what they're told is science, or their leaders. And when they tell them the world is at an end, or the next comet that's coming into the atmosphere is really an alien starship coming to do something to the earth, everybody's running around like an episode of The Twilight Zone, panicking, thinking the aliens are here or something. It's pretty sad. And so it is better to trust in the Lord than to put your confidence in technology, in people, politicians, nations, guns, you know, whatever. It's not that you can't have those things and they have their place. But when it comes down to it, your true safety comes from God, because he changes not. He's a constant. He's never lied to me. All the words that I've studied and in the Bible, and the things that I've read and grown to see throughout my Christian experience, he's never lied to me. The Bible has been proven true so many times, even though people try to disprove it. And to know that there's a being, a self existent one, that says, the eyes of the Lord are in every place, beholding the evil and the good. Someone who was there watching our every move, knowing how many hairs are in our head at any given time. He knows how many are in our head. We're constantly growing hair, losing hair. He's aware of what we're doing. He's intimately concerned. And to know that a being that made the universe, and he also says, he telleth the number of stars, meaning he counts them. He calleth them by their names. He's named all the stars in the universe. And think about the myriads of galaxies and how many stars are in each. And there are trillions and trillions of galaxies. To know that gives me confidence. To know that he said that seed time and harvest and winter and summer will never cease gives me confidence when the global alarmists, tell me otherwise. When people are freaking out, you can sit there like that man in your chair and no, The earth's not going anywhere. It's not going to be blown up. It's not going to be, it doesn't mean there won't be bad things happening on it. But to freak out thinking it's the end of the world and panicking over all these things is no way to live. So put your trust in God. Stop putting so much faith in politicians and what they're going to do for you. And, more often than not, you'll find out that they're not telling you the truth. And put your confidence in the one who, when your marriage is falling apart, you can cry out to and, you know that he's concerned enough to listen. To know that if there was a nuclear war or a warhead coming to your area, or your area is being ravaged by war or disease or some sort of true pestilence or disease, or something in your body that scares you, maybe you've got a diagnosis of something that's scaring you, to know that there's someone beyond the politicians of the world, beyond the princes, something beyond the horses and chariots, aka the ships and the medical technology to save you, and the latest scientific expert. And I'm not going to say it's easy, because sometimes it's not. It's not always easy to trust God. There are times where you got to think. I mean, there's a being that's outside of time, and we are so concerned with getting our answers when we want, or getting out of the situations we find ourselves in that are painful or hurtful or scary when we want. And when God doesn't solve the problem right away, we tend to maybe possibly get mad at him, or why are you allowing us to go through this? And if we really trust him, if we really believe his words where he says, hey, I'm for you. I'm not here to destroy men's lives. I'm here to save them. If we believe that his intentions are good towards human beings, even though we're suffering, even though we have bad diagnosis or something, even though we're going through all this crap on this earth, to know that someone has enough concern to help you get through it, so that when you die, the Bible says to God, the day of one's death is more precious than when you're born. Precious in the sight of the Lord is the death of his saints, he says. Later in the New Testament, death, where is your sting? To know that you're going to live forever. All these thoughts in this present world kind of vanish away. That's my prayer for us tonight, is that we'll learn to trust God, who said, I'm on your side. If we put our faith and trust in him, in other words, if we really ask him into our hearts, we tell him the truth. We don't play around with him. Just say, God, I'm confused. I'm ticked off. I'm scared. Why? I don't understand why you're letting me go through this. Just pray to him, tell him. But don't give up. Don't quit. Don't blame him. And just see what he does. Because sometimes we can't see clearly in the midst of our trials. And then maybe after some time passes, even for a good while. I prayed for certain things for 20 years before God delivered me from them. And there were good reasons for it. Now that I see that I'm more mature, had he delivered me from them early, I would have been more susceptible to falling back in them. Whereas he let me dabble in enough stuff and know how evil the devil is and bad sin is for your life that I don't want to go back there. If I hadn't suffered the pain of it, I'd be going back into it and living a life of destruction, maybe even miss heaven. You know? And sometimes we have to learn hard lessons, and sometimes maybe it's that, but I don't have all the answers. And there are things that have happened in my life where I really just, I'm like, what was that even for? Why did all that time get consumed doing it? I don't get the spiritual thing behind it. I don't get it at all. It makes no sense to me. But I have to trust, even though I don't understand, that a being whose thoughts are higher than my thoughts and whose ways are so much higher than my ways, like a human being is above an amoeba, let's say, that person that says he loves me is doing it for the right reasons, not to hurt me. And if I actually am honest with myself and I believe that he is that way and I take him at his word instead of my own thinking on it, then I find some comfort in that, even though it kind of sucks what's happening. If you didn't know there was a reason, or you didn't know that there was someone there who loved you and is going to work it out for your benefit in the end, there is an end, then there is no hope. You know, when the boats sink and the latest medical shot or technology isn't working, and your latest dearest friend stabs you in the back again, you know, some trust in chariots and some in horses. Some trust in politicians and princes and yada yada and Trumps of the world and the latest plan and the latest this and that they're going to do for you. If it all came down to crashing in, what do you have? But if you actually have somebody you can really trust and know that you're an eternal being and that God is willing to take you with him, even out of this present world, and restore a world of beauty and kindness and love, and you can be a part of it, that gives you hope. And I'm glad, even though I don't understand, and I have to admit my failures to that God, I don't understand God, but help my unbelief in this instance, help my lack of trust and faith in this instance, help me when I've let my fellow man down because of my lack of whatever. It's just good to know that you can trust in the Lord. So that's my hope and prayer for you guys. Anybody who might be feeling suicidal or just wants to quit and give up, I say don't. Anybody that might hear this video, don't do it. Put your faith and trust in something higher. Politicians and human beings and pastors and me are going to let you down one way or another. And you're going to let people down. Be honest with yourself. But to know that there's a being out there that, even though amidst all these letdowns, and even people who are really trying to help one another for the benefit of other people, that there's someone higher who you can trust. And when all hope is lost, you can cry out and say, Jesus, save me from this. Save me from these thoughts. Save me from this situation. Save me from this ominous doom or whatever. And know that he will do that. And he has done it. I'm just going to give God the credit for everything. He's a good person. He's never lied to me. I've gone through a lot of crap and a lot of junk, as I'm sure you all have too. But those that put their trust in him are safe. And, you know, his name is a strong tower. You know, it's a rock. It's an anchor in life where all these other things aren't. So you guys out there, don't put too much faith in politicians and presidents. They're going to let you down. Put your faith in God, specifically in the one true God, Jesus Christ. And my prayer is for all of you guys going through anything, that God will help you through it and give you the strength and just encourage you guys and know that there is hope and there is better times coming for those that put their trust in God, an awesome world, an awesome future. And don't give up on that, and don't ever quit, and keep struggling and fighting together until we get out of this world and God fixes it right and we all can see each other again in the afterlife and celebrate. That's my prayer for you guys. And hope to see you again next time. Tell other people about the videos, encourage them as well. And God bless you and have a good night. Bye.